Welcome to the CACFP Updates training. This training is presented by ODE Child Nutrition Programs, also known as ODE CNP. In this training, we will go over learning objectives, USDA Food and Nutrition Services updates, ODE CNP updates, and resources, new and old, that will be helpful in implementing your CACFP operations. Required sponsor actions are highlighted in this webinar. At the end of this training, we hope that you will take away these two objectives. First, that you will understand all CACFP requirements and updates that have gone into effect this past year, and that you will know what new resources are available and where to find them. We will start with the USDA updates. USDA has provided us with quite a few updates this past year. For this training, we are only going back about a year to catch up on important CACFP news since our last CACFP annual training. In this time, USDA has provided us with guidance on the end of the public health emergency and the end of the Keep Kids Fed Act. A new child nutrition program integrity rule has come out. USDA has provided Oregon with guidance on federal requirements related to the Child Nutrition Equal Opportunity Public Notification, and several memos related to the meal pattern were also released, including ones on feeding infants, milk supply shortages, crediting traditional indigenous foods, and crediting tofu and soy yogurt. We will start with the end of the public health emergency for COVID on May 11th, 2023. There's no action that sponsors need to take here, but it's a quick notification in case you were not aware. As a result of the end of this public health emergency, the Keep Kids Fed Act ended on June 30th, 2023. The Act had a number of provisions for child nutrition programs, and the main one for CACFP was that it provided a bonus of 10 cents per meal served to participants. After June 30th, 2023, the additional 10 cents went away. However, new 2023 to 2024 CACFP reimbursement rates were released on July 1st, 2023 that increased reimbursement a little. This resulted in some meals being paid at a higher rate, but all snacks were still paid at a slightly lower rate without the additional 10 cents. In August 2023, USDA released the initial implementation memo on the Child Nutrition Program Integrity Final Rule. ODE released this to sponsors a few days later. In November 2023, USDA released an updated table of regulations with more explanations on each of the integrity rule changes. There were regulations that affected school nutrition programs, CACFP, and the summer food programs. However, we're only going to focus on one of the rule changes that will affect all CACFP sponsors, which is the financial review of sponsoring organizations in CACFP. This new rule will require that all state agencies, like Oregon, annually review sponsors' financial management of their CACFP nonprofit food service account. This will be a similar process to the financial review of documents completed by ODE during an administrative review. As of spring 2024, ODE CNP is still developing our procedure for our state. USDA requires that states have procedures in place by August 23, 2024. Our office will provide more information to sponsors before this is implemented. Next, we have our Child Nutrition Equal Opportunity Public Notification Policy Memo. This was released at the end of September 2023 and was a result of a management evaluation finding from USDA. USDA required that ODE and CACFP sponsors notify families of the availability of free language assistance for applicants with limited English proficiency, also known as LEP, and also notify families of the availability of free accommodations for participants with disabilities. The September memo notified all sponsors that notification to the public is required and can be completed by including a statement on program web pages, enrollment information, or program communications such as newsletters or other online postings. This statement can combine both the availability of free language assistance and free disability accommodations. This notification must be provided by all sponsors at least once a year. Getting into our meal pattern memos, USDA released CACFP Memo 11-2023 on September 20th, 2023 on feeding infants. This memo included updated guidance on breast milk storage recommendations, infant formula food safety considerations, crediting grains in ounce equivalents for infants, and clarification on combination food crediting. For breast milk, safe storage of expressed breast milk was extended to 4 days from the previous 3 days. For formula, the new memo included additional guidance on safe handling, including a reminder to always use safe water sources, using prepared formula within 2 hours of preparation, refrigerating formula that's not used right away and using it within 24 hours, throwing away formula within 1 hour once it's been used, and checking best by dates and packaging to make sure it's not damaged, as well as safe storage in a cool, dry, indoor location. This same memo has information on updated crediting to grains. Like the child and adult meal pattern, grains must be credited using ounce equivalent serving sizes. USDA has created a Feeding Infants Using Ounce Equivalents for Grains handout. The link to this handout is available from the ODE CMP CACFP meal pattern page. It includes tables that show 0 to 1/2 ounce equivalents of iron-fortified infant cereal portion sizes for breakfast, lunch, and supper, and it has tables of portions ranging from 1/4 ounce to 1/2 ounce equivalents, depending on the item served. As a reminder, the range in serving sizes is meant to include infants who are not yet developmentally ready for solid foods. Infants not ready for solid foods will require the bottom range of 0 ounce equivalents, and infants who are developmentally ready and consistently eating solid foods must be fed the higher end of the serving size at 1/2 ounce equivalents. ODE CMP previously updated the infant meal pattern chart when ounce equivalents became required in 2021, and sponsors can use the infant meal pattern chart, which is also available on the ODE CMP CACFP meal pattern page, as a reference. Finally, in the updated Feeding Infants memo, combination food crediting guidance was clarified to state that combination baby foods served must meet the full required amount of the meal component. This is because combination foods should only be offered after the infant has been introduced to all of the individual ingredients in that combination food. And since these are all foods that are accepted by the infant, then the full required amount must be served. Again, when we say the full required amount, this would be the upper range for the serving size provided for developmentally ready infants. Because combination foods must meet the upper range of the serving size requirements, infant combination foods will need supporting documentation as well, like all combination foods. Some infant combination foods have crediting statements on their labels, but if they do not have this, a product formulation statement, child nutrition label, or recipe for homemade items must be on file. Now, let's move to our milk supply shortage memos. USDA released a memo on October 25, 2023, clarifying that states can provide flexibilities to sponsors who are experiencing milk supply shortages, and that this is allowed in the regulations under 7 CFR 225.16 F6. This was in response to the nationwide shortages of milk due to packaging supply disruptions. On October 31, 2023, ODE then released a memo letting sponsors know that if you are affected by this milk supply shortage, you must notify us via the milk supply shortage form to request this flexibility. The form includes information on the programs affected, duration of the disruption, and current milk supply status. The link to the form is available through the memo, which you can find on our ODE CNP Memos page. Sponsors must retain documentation that supports the specific challenges in receiving milk and must submit the milk supply shortage form in order to receive the flexibility. Moving on to crediting traditional indigenous foods, USDA released a new technical assistance memo in November and re-released a revised version of their 2016 memo on procuring local meat, poultry, game, and eggs. Both of these memos included only minor updates from previous versions and mostly expanded the list of credited foods, which now include beaked hazelnut, lamb's quarter, which is a dark leafy green, red salmon, and more. This is a helpful tool for sponsors who serve an indigenous population. One thing that the memo updated is having an increased focus on following state, local, and tribal inspection requirements with any purchased, cultivated, and wild game. The revised CACFP 1-2016 memo includes a series of detailed questions and answers related to procurement and inspection requirements for meats, poultry, seafood, game, and eggs. These two memos do not have any major changes to crediting. Instead, it focused on technical assistance. The last USDA memo is CACFP 2-2024 on tofu and soy yogurt. This is an update of an older memo, CACFP 21-2016. The main difference between the two memos is that tofu and soy yogurt are now allowed to be served as a creditable food item in the infant meal pattern as well. Previously, tofu and soy yogurt were not allowed to be served as part of a creditable meal for infants. Now that it is allowed, the minimum serving size for a developmentally ready infant, 6 to 11 months old, is 0 to 4 tablespoons or 1/4 cup or 2.2 ounces of creditable tofu. Creditable tofu is tofu meeting the protein requirement of 5 grams of protein per 2.2 ounces by weight. This protein requirement is usually only met by firm or extra firm tofu. Soy yogurt's minimum serving size is 0 to 4 ounces or 1/2 cup of creditable yogurt. Creditable yogurt is yogurt that meets the sugar limit requirement of no more than 23 grams of sugar per 6 ounces of yogurt. As a reminder, the range starts from 0 because infants may not be developmentally ready for solid foods right at 6 months. But once the infant is consistently eating solid foods, the upper end of the range will be the required serving size. Sponsors with any questions about these USDA memos or regulations are encouraged to reach out to their assigned child nutrition specialist. For ODE CNP, we had two major updates from this year: site monitoring flexibility and CACFP administrative review procedure updates. ODE released our Site Monitoring Flexibility Memo on October 30th, 2023. This memo is for multi-site sponsors who are required to conduct site monitoring. If a sponsor is operating a site less than 9 months a year, the sponsor can conduct less than 3 site monitoring reviews a year at that site. Sites that operate 0 to 4 months out of the year must be reviewed at least once. Sites that operate 5 to 8 months out of the year must be reviewed twice. And sites that operate 9 to 12 months of the year must be reviewed the regular 3 times. The requirement to have at least one unannounced review with a meal observation is still there, so sponsors with sites operating up to 8 months must make sure that their reviews include an unannounced review and a meal observation. If there are major findings or serious deficiencies, additional follow-up reviews are still required. The second ODE memo was released November 16, 2023, and included a lot of changes to how ODE CMP is conducting our administrative reviews starting this year. It includes changes to underclaims found during a review, 1-month enrollment roster or OMER adjustments, changes to verification of previous corrective action implementation, changes to exit conferences, changes to the CACFP appeal procedure, and for school food authorities or school districts only, changes to administrative review scheduling and verification of financial management implementation. We will go through each of these changes. What are underclaims? Underclaims are errors that are found during a review that would result in an increase in reimbursement for the sponsor. For example, if you claimed 400 meals when it should have been 410 meals. In the past, ODE paid out the extra 10 meals. However, USDA has notified us that this is not in line with regulation. Therefore, effective this year, ODE CMP will not pay out for those underclaims. If this error is found prior to the 60-day claim deadline, sponsors can adjust their claim. For example, if the review is in March and this error was from January, it's still within the 60-day claim deadline and can be updated. If, however, the review is in March and the error was from November, it is past the 60-day claim deadline, and the only way to get that underclaim submitted is if you use a one-time exception, if you have that available. A one-time exception is only available once every 36 months, so use it wisely. For sponsors with a 1-month enrollment roster, or OMER, sometimes adjustments to the OMER are required due to findings during a review. This applies to childcare centers, outside school hours childcare, Head Starts with community slots, and adult daycare centers. When there is an OMER adjustment due to an administrative review, if you have OMER changes that increase your reimbursement, this will now be applied to the next claim following the end of the appeal period. If you have an OMER change that decreases your reimbursement, it will be included in the Fiscal Action Tool, which is a spreadsheet that tells you how much you may owe ODE CMP due to findings from that review. If the total fiscal action is above the disregard threshold of $600, then the revised OMER numbers will be applied from the test month forward. If you have a decrease in reimbursement but it's under the $600 disregard threshold, then the new OMER numbers will be applied starting with the next claim following the end of that appeal period. Now we have the verification of previous corrective action implementation. While ODE CMP has always reviewed previous sponsor action corrections, it hasn't always been formally documented. Starting this year, ODE CMP will have specific questions on our review tool related to previous corrective actions and whether the sponsor is still implementing their corrective action plan. This is why it's important for sponsors to keep their policies and procedures current and up to date. ODE CMP verifies all observed practices against the written policies and procedures that sponsors have and ensure that it meets the CACFP requirements. You may have updated your procedures since the last time we were out on review, and that is okay, but you will need to have that in writing as well. This helps with training your staff and ensuring that correct practices are followed. At the end of a review, ODE CMP conducts an exit conference to go over our report and, if there are any findings, to go over corrective actions and timelines. As of this year, we are providing more flexibility by conducting this exit conference via a virtual meeting within 10 calendar days of the active review period. This often allows more sponsor representatives to be present and can be scheduled for a time that is more convenient for all parties. In situations where a review is completed and both your team and the ODE CNP specialist have time to complete an exit conference on site, this is allowed as well. During this exit conference, if there are any fiscal findings, the appeal will be issued at that time. This is more in line with our SFSP procedures in Oregon and will prevent unnecessary delays in the review timeline. All other procedures related to the appeals process will remain the same, and sponsors will still have 15 calendar days to request an appeal. Finally, we have our school food authority only changes. School districts that have both a school nutrition administrative review and a CACFP administrative review in the same fiscal year can choose to have the reviews conducted at the same time, and both sets of specialists will be there. This is an option only and is not a requirement. In addition, during the CACFP administrative review, ODE CMP staff will also be verifying that the written financial management procedures for CACFP are implemented as written and will be reviewing documentation to support the receipt and expenditure of CACFP funds for the test month. Now that you know what's new in regulations and requirements over this past year, let's move on to resources. First, we'll quickly go over some new resources that USDA has come out with this past year. This is not an all-inclusive list. These are, however, resources that may be helpful for many sponsors. USDA has been expanding their library of Spanish language resources, and there's now a Spanish version of the CACFP Crediting Handbook. There's also Spanish versions of all the crediting and child nutrition tip sheets. These are helpful tools for staff who may be more comfortable learning with Spanish language resources. USDA also has multiple great resources for meal pattern, including cooking videos, which are short videos that teach you how to create a creditable recipe, meal pattern training slides. These may be helpful if you're training your team, and they're also available in Spanish. And there's a 45-minute webinar that goes over how to navigate the Food Buying Guide calculator. The Food Buying Guide calculator is a helpful tool for crediting sponsor-made recipes, but it can be complicated if you've never used it before. This webinar walks you through the process and explains how to use it effectively. On the ODE CNP side, we also have a few new resources for you. We have an updated CACFP Policy and Procedure Manual, an entirely new CACFP Financial Management Workbook, some new formats for procedure templates, and a new annual CACFP sponsor calendar. All ODE CNP resources will be available on our CACFP page and will be linked in the description section below. This updated policy and procedure manual, released in March of 2024, is a labor of love for our entire CMP community team. Our entire team worked on updating this resource for center-based sponsors. All sponsors should be familiar with this resource, and you may even know it by its former nickname, Big Red, from back when it came in a large red binder. The purpose of our manual is to provide guidance to CACFP sponsors in Oregon on all CACFP requirements, including program-specific material. While it can't cover 100% of all situations, it does cover most program requirements. As a new sponsor staff, you are required to know what was in this manual. As ongoing sponsors, it's helpful to review sections on an as-needed basis. This new update includes more references and links to USDA regulations, and we have updated new links to resources and updated information to bring you the most current CACFP information possible. ODE CMP will be updating our manuals quarterly, so we don't recommend printing it out, but it is helpful to bookmark or download the file to your server or computer for quick reference. Our next resource is one you will be looking at more closely with our CACFP Financial Management Training. This new workbook is meant for a center-based, non-school food authority audience. The reason why it's not for school food authorities is because they have the Oregon School District-based guidelines that they need to follow as well, and our guidance related to that will be available in summer of 2024. This workbook is meant to help both new CACFP applicants and continuing sponsors to understand financial management requirements, including nonprofit food service requirements. We have also released 2 new PDF procedure templates. You might be familiar with our CACFP policies and procedure templates. These templates are meant to help sponsors develop procedures for their organization while keeping CACFP regulations at the forefront. We have templates on claims procedures, financial management, procurement, menus, OMERs, child enrollment forms, and confidential income statements. All templates previously were in Microsoft Word format, but we have had requests for alternate formats, so we have developed a PDF version. Due to the format restrictions in PDF, we have updated the new PDF templates to include a question and answer format and also added in relevant questions from the management plan to tie it all together. The financial management procedure in the PDF template is now available by itself or as part of the financial management workbook. This template is meant for center-based, non-school food authorities only. More information will be available on this template during our financial management training. We also have a CACFP menu procedure available in PDF, and this one is applicable to all center-based sponsors. Sponsors who are developing procedures for their organization can choose what format to use. Those who are more comfortable with the narrative format can use the Word document version, and those who like the question and answer format can use the PDF version. Or, if neither of those work for you, you can also create your own procedure from scratch. We also have our annual CACFP sponsor calendar. This is a semi-new resource. We had provided sponsors with year-round calendars in the past, and we're bringing it back again. This calendar provides important dates and recommended tasks for each month of the fiscal year. We recommend that all sponsors check out this resource to track important due dates throughout the year. Since we don't have exact dates for all tasks at the beginning of the fiscal year, our office updates the calendar periodically as new dates or information become available. Updates will be shared on the CACFP Knowing and Growing newsletter. Speaking of our newsletter, all named individuals with emails listed in your CMP web applications, these are your responsible principals for the CACFP, will get the newsletter in their mailbox each month. The CACFP newsletter is sent out the first week of every month. If you're not receiving this in your inbox, check your junk or spam inbox to see if it's going there. And if you're still not getting it, sign up again for our newsletter. If you need the link to it, go to any of the newsletters on our CACFP memo page and scroll down to the bottom to find the link to sign up. All sponsors are responsible to know the information provided in the newsletter. The newsletter will provide a list of all memos that were released by USDA and ODE in the previous month, and for important memos, there will be an article summarizing the impact on sponsors. ODE CNP also uses these newsletters to provide important information on due dates, available trainings and grants, and other important things happening in the world of CACFP. Besides the newsletter, ODE CNP's CACFP web pages are also a good place to find resources. Our training page includes links and summaries of all current video trainings that we have produced for CACFP. Our meal pattern page includes many handouts that can be used as helpful training tools for your kitchen and menu staff. The CACFP resources page, also known as the Forms, Documents, Handbooks, and Manuals page, includes all other resources. If you're having trouble finding a resource, reach out to your assigned child nutrition specialist, and they'll be able to direct you to the right resource if it's available. We also want to remind everyone that we currently have 2 grants available. The Startup and Expansion Grant is available to at-risk after-school sponsors in the CACFP who are looking to expand or start up their CACFP operations. There is a rolling application deadline for that. The Farm to C&P non-competitive grant is available to all CACFP sponsors, and all sponsors have the opportunity to receive at least $3,500 for the 2023 to 2025 biennium for purchasing local foods. To receive this funding, you have to complete a mandatory training. More information was posted in our December 2023 newsletter, so check that out if you have not already. We also wanted to highlight a few more resources that are not new, but are good resources to know about from the Institution of Child Nutrition, also known as ICN. Their website at theicn.org includes the entire child nutrition recipe box, which has many credited recipes for CACFP. ICN also provides free in-person trainings on a multitude of CACFP topics and will fly a trainer out to your location if you can guarantee that you will have at least 25 participants. If a live training does not work for you, you can also take part in many of the live webinars that they have throughout the year or take an online training through their virtual training platform. Besides trainings, they also have a monthly newsletter called the Monthly Mealtime Memos with recipe ideas, tips on food safety, and more information related to CACFP. The ICN's website contains lots of helpful information, so we encourage all sponsors to take a look. ODE CNP is continuing to work on new resources for our sponsors. Additional PDF versions of procedure templates will be coming out in the next year, along with an entire series of the new CACFP sponsor staff training videos. These videos will follow our updated CACFP Policy and Procedure Manual and is scheduled to be ready by early 2025. At ODE, we are always working on something new, so there's more to come in the upcoming year. If you have any resources that you would like to have, let your assigned specialists know. We're always looking for new ideas on how to best support our sponsors. Before we end our session, here is a short message from the Oregon Department of Education. ODE supports equity and excellence for every learner and seeks to work with school districts, education service districts, and community partners like you. We believe all children should have access to a high-quality, well-rounded learning experience. This institution is an equal opportunity provider. Thank you for taking the CACFP Updates training. Thank you for taking the CACFP Updates training.